Are you struggling to come up with your idea for your podcast? Stop it. Let's talk about that. You're listening to Practical Podcast Tips. My name's Eric Beals, and today I'm going to cover tip number 4. Don't overthink your podcast. So one of the things I see a lot is a lot of people aren't really sure what to talk about. They want to start a podcast, but they're not really sure how it will be received, what they'll talk about, and sometimes they spend a little bit too long just even getting started with it. Some of the questions that people get are, will people like my podcast? What if people hate it? Fear of rejection. That's a big one. Honestly, I've fallen into this trap myself constantly, and I am fully aware of it too. I think the fear of rejection is a natural thing that people tend to have in anytime you put yourself out there in anything. It took me a while to even come up with my idea on what podcast I wanted to start. This actually isn't even the first one. The first one I thought about doing was more of a long format podcast. This one is more short form, but the long form one was taking me too long to, I was still overthinking it and whatnot. Then this one came to mind because this would be a much easier one for me to just get started on and talk about. I think it's an important thing to learn how to just get started with something, not overthink it. Just get started on whatever it is and improve as you go. It's called failing forward, especially myself. So I am kind of a techie. For a while, I still even saw myself as like a perfectionist in a way. That's kind of the engineer inside me, the engineer aspect. I'm sure a lot of engineers out there can relate to this on being a perfectionist. I am by no means perfect, but I will tend to strive towards perfection, but sometimes it's at the cost of not getting something done. The truth is, if you don't get your content out there, well, one, you might spend all year just planning something out. Then you finally get started with it only for it to fail and it not work right. Part of that failure process is learning from it and improving upon it and getting better at it. At the time of this recording, I don't know if this podcast will be successful. I have no idea. It might be successful or it might not be. And if it's not, that's totally fine. I'll redo another one and improve upon that and just keep building and improving on everything that you do. This isn't just applied towards podcasting. It can be applied towards anything. It could be applied towards speaking on stage. And if that's your fear, making phone calls, whatever it might be, just get started with it. My main tip for you today is just to stop overthinking it. Just get started with it. And especially with podcasting, have fun with it. Podcasting is a medium where you can really just speak your mind and talk about what you're thinking of. Don't worry about what other people are going to think of you or anything like that. If you're interested in what you're talking about, there's other people that's also interested in what you're talking about. Just get started with it. Learn to fail forward. All right, that's my tip for the day. I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks for listening. If you liked this episode, feel free to leave us a review. I'd love to hear how it helped. Also, if you know somebody else that could benefit from it, go ahead and share it with them. Thanks again and see you in the next episode.